Welcome back, everybody. It's another edition of Full Court Press. I'm your host, Courtney Mims. And you guys, I heard your pleas. I heard your cries. You said you love this guy the first time we had him on the show. And I said, okay, I hear you. We'll get him back. Clearly, I didn't do a good enough job of getting him back soon enough, because every week the comments are, you going to have Coach Mims on again? Are you going to have your dad on again? Yes, I will have my dad on again. I will say to everybody out there, Dad, sometimes they forget that you are an active Division II head men's basketball coach. So you are actively coaching right now, okay? Everybody calm down. All right, we got him, the man, the myth, the legend. Yes, that is Coach Billy Mims, the head men's basketball coach of the Florida Tech Panthers. But I know him better as my dad. So there you go. Dad, I'm so glad you were able to come back on the show one more time with me to give the people what they wanted.
Courtney, thanks for having me. And, can I start off by saying, woo pig suey?
Yes, you can. Everyone wanted you to do a woo pig last time. So I'm glad that you did one for everyone out there. There you go. My dad said woo pig suey. Okay, Dad, let's talk about this game. It was hard to watch because throughout the entire game, I even checked in with Hog fans, and they were feeling good at halftime. Arkansas was playing really well defensively. Offensively, they weren't really doing enough, and we're going to get into that to win this ball game. But it felt like, even with 3 minutes left to go, Nellie Davis hits a bucket. They take the lead. You're sitting there going, okay, they're going to do it. They're going to take down the number one team in the nation. And look, they did enough. It did enough on the defensive side, I believe, not enough offensively. And so first, let's kind of get into the ugly first. We'll go to the defensive side in a second, but let's go to the ugly. Because, Dad, I'm going to be honest with you here. I got very passionate after this game on social media and on air about missed free throws, okay? Because this has been something Arkansas has struggled with this season. And I was so mad at the end of the first half when they went 2 of 6 from the line. Nellie Davis was the only one who made both of his free throws in the first half, okay? I think it was Carter Knox and Adu Thero, if I'm not incorrect about them, who just whiffed on their free throws. And I was going, oh my gosh, make your free throws, guys. Well, then I get through the second half, and I'm still yelling at the TV, make your free throws, because Arkansas was just 7 of 14 from the charity stripe. That's just 50%. As a coach, does that get you mad, Dad?
Well, you hate to say this because it's kind of the easiest thing to look at as a coach or as a fan. When the game is over and you look at the box score, you look at the stats, right? They were 7 for 14 from the free throw line. Now, number one, 14 are not a lot of free throws to shoot in a ball game.
No.
But if you're only going to shoot 14 free throws, you better make them. You're on the road against the number one team in the nation. And you know what? They missed 7 free throws. They lost the ball game by 7 points.
7 points. I did make a tweet out there that's gotten quite a bit of traction. You might have seen it, Dad, where I said, if you make your free throws, you win the ball game.
Well, you at least have a chance to win the ball game.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
Nobody thinks you're ever going to go. Most people don't ever believe you're going to go 100% at the free throw line. Although you probably should, right? It's the one shot in the game of basketball that never changes. No matter where you are, no matter what the crowd is like, whether you're on my court at Florida Tech in front of 1,500 people or at Auburn in front of 20,000 people, the free throw line is still 15 feet away and no one is guarding you, right? But you know what's funny? I've said this time and time again. You know, it goes back to Shaquille O'Neal, one of the all-time great players. He's NBA Hall of Famer, right?
Yeah.
But there's a famous philosophy out there, defensive philosophy, called hack-a-shack, right? Yes. So when you look at the other team and you say, wow, this free throw shooter's terrible, well, we're going to foul him in a tight game whenever it's close because we're going to hack a shack. So for eons now, there's always been bad free throw shooters. And you know what my opinion of that is?
Yeah.
Because practicing free throws takes a lot of time.
It does.
You got to get to the line. You got to shoot hundreds and hundreds and hundreds every day. it gets boring to players. And the most thing they will all tell you, it ain't sexy.
No.
Okay. Of all the things you can do in the game of basketball, free throws are not sexy.
No.
Slam dunks, sexy. Block shots, sexy. Driving
Threes.
through traffic, threes, falling out of bounds in the corner, hitting the three, and the bench erupting. Sexy. No one erupts when you make a free throw. Okay. It's boring. It's not that fun. But guess what? Free throws win games.
Exactly. And that was my whole point to everyone and look, I may have taken a step too far where I said they would have won the game. At least it would have given them a better chance. And that's what I really was like, make your free throws. And Coach Cal, I mean, he addressed that after the game. He was just as annoyed, right? So that's why I asked you as a coach, because you got to look at that and go, 50%. No one expects you to make all of them, but it's 50%.
Free throws jump out at you, obviously, because Auburn was pretty good at the line. Auburn were 13 for 17.
Yeah.
So Auburn shot them well. Arkansas didn't. It was an ugly shooting game, though. When you look at both teams, I mean, for the ball game, okay, Arkansas were 3 for 19 from three. 3 for 19. That's 16% from three, right? But then you say, well, Auburn are the number one team in the nation. They were 4 for 24 at the free throw line, and that is 17%.
Yeah.
So you were the best teams in the country last night in Division I basketball, playing in a big-time arena, live on ESPN for the whole nation to see. They put on a three-point shooting clinic. Not. Okay? Ugly. You said at time the game was ugly, right? If you were a fan of three-point shooting, it was ugly all night. And I mean, I know you love Big Z.
Oh, no.
Okay?
Listen, Dad, I knew you were going to bring him up. Hold on.
I know you love Big Z, but Courtney,
I love
0 for 9.
But listen, I'll say this. That was very uncharacteristic of him. And I'm not trying to stick up for him. Okay, look, I'm going to ask you about this because you mentioned Big Z and you mentioned something that I was going to talk about. Let's talk about Arkansas's front court, right? Let's talk about Zvonimir Miravičić. Let's take it a step further, Jonas Adu. Let's talk about Trevin Brazil, who, Dad, let me tell you, he has 0 points on this stat sheet, but they're actually incorrect. Okay, I'm going to tell you why. They're incorrect on this stat sheet. He tipped in a bucket for Auburn. So he should have 2 points on the stat sheet because he tipped in a bucket for the wrong team. Okay? He has 0 points. But that's what you're getting from your big guys. That's what you're getting.
Hey, wait a minute.
And to go into Big Z really quickly, 0 of 10 from the floor, 0 of 9 from the three. And my thing, Dad, is that you know the phrase, feed the hot hand, right? You want to get it to your hot hand, right? You want to get it to your shooters who are doing well. Carter Knox, the freshman, right? He was shooting well in that game. He wasn't their leading scorer, but he had 11 points and he was playing tough. He was shooting well as you can with the offensive performance that they showed. But look, you got to feed your hot hand, right? Well, Zvonimir Miravičić is chucking up threes when they're down at the end of the ball game. And I'm going, one was an air ball, and even Coach Cal said, I don't know why he shot that three. We didn't really need that three there, and he shot it up so quickly. We still had time left on the shot clock.
Yeah.
Dad, it's baffling. Is there something to be said as a coach with a guy like that where it's like you're trying to get his confidence up? You know he can shoot threes well. You know he can because he's shown it before in other games. You know he's been able to produce well offensively. But what were they trying to do for him that in this game? Because to me, it's like, it's not working. It's not working. What you're trying to do is not working. At what point do you abandon that?
Well, look, he is Arkansas's best three-point shooter on the year.
Yeah.
He's made more threes than anybody else for the Razorbacks. He's made 41 out of 100 threes on the year, which is 41%, which is pretty doggone good three-point shooting, right?
For sure.
41 threes in 26 games isn't like lighting it up, like there are guys out there that might be in 26 games. hitting 2.5, 3 threes a game. And now you're looking at guys that have made 70, 75, 80 threes. Those are like the best 3-point shooters in the country, right?
Yeah.
And Big Z is not one of the best in the country yet,
No.
but he's the best. He's the best of the Razorbacks. So playing against the number one team in the nation, he's thinking, I have to contribute offensively. I have to do what I'm good at. And hey, so far this year, I've been really good behind the arc. If you go back from last night, take away his 0 for 9, he went into last night shooting 41 of 91, okay? 41 of 91 is now even a better percentage. But 0 for 9 last night dropped him to a team high 41%. So again, I think he was trying to do what, and again, he had some wide open looks. It's not like he was throwing up contested
yes,
threes.
and some unlucky bounces, some that would just go and you were like, it's got to go in. It looks so beautiful, and it just whoop, out. You know, I mean,
But
it just
you know,
unlucky.
you're right. If you go back to Carter Knox,
Yeah,
you're right. I mean, he might have only had 11 points, but look at his efficiency last night.
exactly.
He took 6 shots. He made 5 out of 6 shots. He took 1 behind the arc. He was 1 for 1 from 3. And so you got to think as a coach at times, some of those shots that Z was taking and airballing or missing, right?
Yeah.
If they worked it around and it ended up getting in Carter Knox's hands, maybe 1 or 2 of those that Z missed, Knox would have made, or somebody else might have made.
Right.
And then you come back, if Z goes 2 for 9 instead of 0 for 9, that's 6 more Arkansas points. Make a couple of free throws, you win the game.
You win the game.
Again, it was an ugly shooting game. Okay.
It was.
So I hate it for Z because he has shot the ball well all year. The young fella has shown tremendous offensive talent to be a stretch forward, to step away from the basket and stretch the defense. And there are a lot of bigs in the country that aren't going to go out there with him. They aren't going to defend him, and he will burn them. Has done so far this year, just wasn't able to last night.
And I love what you say there is like you feel for him because he is a guy that obviously wants to have a big night, wants to have a big game because he knows if he does, they have a really good shot of winning. I mean, if he didn't have the performance he had offensively and they made more free throws, I think they're winning against Auburn. And another reason I say that, Dad, because you talked about defense. And I kind of want to bring it up because JC Hoops does a great job at pulling the stats afterwards. And I'm going to give him credit for this because he pulled this stat to show you exactly how well Arkansas played defense against Auburn. They held Auburn to their second lowest three-point percentage on the year, 4th worst field goal percentage on the year, forced 12 turnovers, which ties Auburn's second most on the season, and held the Tigers to 67 points, 18 under their season average. Dad, as a coach, you gotta like the defensive effort there from Arkansas. It honestly felt like it kept them in the ball game.
I'm going to give you one more stat that they missed on that.
Okay.
How about most of the time the second half is where a team is better, especially the home team. Most of the time, first half, it's kind of like a boxing match, you know? Teams are sort of feeling each other out in the big game to see what's going to happen that night. Who's going to get hot? Who's going to have the hot hand? What's going to work better? Going inside, shooting outside. You're feeling each other out. Everybody's a little nervous in the first half, right? Well, look at this. Auburn were up 6 at the half, 33-27. And so I thought Arkansas did a great job defensively in the first half, holding them to 33 points. Arkansas just couldn't score.
Right.
27 points in the first half, you know, by the Razorbacks just wasn't enough to kind of get them over the top, right? But the defensive stat that shows that Arkansas defended the entire game. In the second half at Auburn, they held Auburn 0 for 10 from 3-pointers in the second half. We're talking about Big Z going 0 for 9 for the game. Auburn on their home floor in front of their home fans, the number one team in America, was a big 0 for 10 behind the arc in the second half. You'd have thought they were playing in Bud Walton.
You might have. You might, if you looked at the stat sheet, you might have said, "Wait, was this game at Bud Walton?" Because Auburn, I mean, you got to give credit to Bruce Pearl, I mean, they have a sound basketball team, but for Arkansas to go in there and perform like they did, even with the offensive struggles, I get it. No one is giving excuses here, right? And I'll be the first one to say that. I get annoyed when they go and they lose these games that they could have won because they've battled. Let's go back to the Alabama game. Just a Saturday ago, or if my memory serves me correctly, they came back. They came back and gave Alabama a scare in that game. And I remember thinking, they've got this. They've got this. If they can just close out these games, I know that's what Coach Cal is scratching his head over right now and said it. It's about closing out these games and living up to the moment, because you said it. You said it to me right after that game. When you watched that second half, you said Arkansas has played a heck of a game, although in the last 3 minutes, there have been some silly mistakes and there have been breakdowns. And so as a coach, Coach Cal gets it in those post-game press conferences, and he's not happy because he wants to win those games. He does. You know that. You want to win every single game. And so you're not happy that you lost. It doesn't matter, what you did. You think about those last 3 minutes. And so in those last 3 minutes, just with kind of the sloppy play and everything, do you think that's where, if you're Coach Cal, you have to identify, okay, what are we doing in those last few minutes of every game to not get over the hump and win?
Well, and when you're playing close games in the SEC, which is right now this year the best basketball conference in the country.
Yeah.
I know it's ironic because the SEC's always been football land, right?
It's basketball land.
Right now, the SEC is what Joe Lunardi has already got like 12 SEC teams in March Madness.
He's at 13. He's at 13, Dad. 13.
That's because he's going to get Arkansas in there too.
He's going to get him in.
But in those last couple of minutes of a close game, in a tough conference on the road, it always comes down to just being able to make a couple of plays, right? It really, it's sad to say for these, and I say kids because I coach them too. These are young people, they're 18 to 23, now sometimes 25 years old because of COVID and red shirts and transfers and sometimes 6 or 7 years of college sports now, but they're still young people and they're not pros yet. Yeah, okay, NIL, and I get it, they're getting paid and stuff. They're not pros yet. If they were pros, they'd already be in the NBA, right?
Yeah.
So they're young kids. They're just out of high school. They're going to college. They're going to class. They're getting an education. Now we're throwing them out there on the floor in front of the world to see, and the pressure on their back. And it sometimes comes down to one good decision or maybe one lucky play. And unfortunately for Arkansas last night, in the last couple of minutes, they just couldn't get that big lucky shot to fall. They didn't get the big rebound when they needed it. As you said, they didn't make the free throw when they needed it. But it just felt like it wasn't that they were, that certainly they were trying to win the game. They weren't trying to lose the game, trying to make plays. They just didn't come up. And the irony of it is, this could have been that signature win that they've been searching for. And they've been so close. I mean, everybody said, well, you went to Kentucky. And for Coach Cal, I know that homecoming meant a lot. To go back to Kentucky, to walk into Rupp Arena and win. I know what that feels like, to go back and coach against a former opponent, a former place that you used to live, and have your old friends from that town sitting in that arena watching you, and even players, old players and so forth there that you coached.
Yeah.
So I know what that feels like. That Kentucky win was huge for Coach Cal and for the Hogs, but they still wanted that signature. They almost got it against Alabama in Bud Walton. I mean, Alabama came in ranked number 3 in the nation, and it's a 4-point loss at home in front of an enthusiastic Razorback crowd. And you know, Bud Walton is one of the best atmospheres anywhere in college basketball
Yep.
for a big game. So they've been close. And then they go on the road to play the number 1 team in the nation. Coach Cal and his staff did a great job prepping the Razorbacks for this challenge. They got right there. And then I look at 2 things to me that were the difference in the game. Like I said, it was a winnable game right up to the final minute. Inside the seconds to go, it was still a winnable game for Arkansas, right?
Yeah.
There was a moment they fouled and they
yeah.
didn't foul. There was a lot of time left, and it was a 1 possession game. At that point, I want to say it was 63-60, and they fouled, but it was 36 seconds to play.
Yeah.
If you get a stop and you get a 3-pointer, which might not have been the thing you want because they were shooting loudly, but maybe an old-fashioned 3-pointer.
Right.
You drive to the basket, you score, you get fouled. Nelly goes and gets an and 1, and it's a tie ball game. So down 3 with seconds to go and the shot clock less than the game clock, you know if you get a stop, something Arkansas had been doing really well, playing great defense.
Yep.
1 stop, you get the ball in your possession in a 1-possession game for the final shot, right? That's where Coach Cal wanted to be, but they made a dumb play. They fouled when they didn't need to foul. So there were a couple of situations late where the play wasn't the smartest thing to do, or they just weren't lucky. The shot didn't go. It just didn't go their way in that last final 1 to 2 minutes of play. But 2 stats really jump out at me, Courtney.
Okay.
And I know it does to Coach Cal.
Okay.
And probably staff when they look at back, well, why did we lose the game? It was obvious when we started about the free throws.
Oh, yeah.
So forget free throws.
Yeah. Take those out. Take them out.
Forget that. 2 things killed the Razorbacks.
Okay.
They got out-rebounded big.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Auburn out-rebounded them 42-29. But that's not even the worst.
Okay.
42-29 sounds bad.
Yeah.
But offensive rebounding, Auburn 13 offensive rebounds, Arkansas 4.
Ooh.
So what that meant was there's a stat called second chance
points. Yeah.
Auburn won second chance points 16-3. Okay? That meant that Arkansas was playing great D, but when they got the stop and they didn't get the rebound, it wasn't a one and done possession. Auburn got a second chance and capitalized on that second chance. 16-3 is tough to beat. One other stat.
Okay.
And
All right.
I know this jumps out. Bench play.
Oh, yeah.
Arkansas's bench has been an issue at times this year.
Well, they don't
You
really
talk
have a
about
bench,
the
Dad. They don't.
The depth. The
They
depth,
have a
or
very
should we
limited.
say
They have a very
depth?
limited rotation.
the depth, or should we say the lack of depth, right?
Yes.
So last night, let's look at that. The bench scoring in the game, 33-8. Now, here's the funny thing. Arkansas starting 5 last night were way better than the starting 5 of the number 1 team in the country.
Hey.
That's something,
Yay.
doesn't
Yay.
The starting 5. But here's the thing.
Okay.
When you look at Auburn's bench, the damage was done. 2 players, and going into the game, I guarantee you, Coach Cal, no reporter from ESPN, Big Trail Nation, or any network covering the game would have said, these 2 guys are going to win the game. Chad Baker-Mazzara and Chaney Johnson.
Yeah.
They both played about 25 minutes off the bench for Auburn, off the bench,
Yep.
not starters, but they went. Chad Baker-Mazzara, 4 of 8 from the floor, 1 of 5 from the arc, 6 for 6 at the free throw line, 15 points. Chaney Johnson, 6 of 13, 2 for 3 at the line, 14 points. 29 of Auburn's 33 bench points. 29 points is almost half of Auburn's
Half of what they
offense
got, yeah.
came from two guys who came off the bench.
Hey, and that's why we go back to the conversation. You and I could talk about this, Dad, for a while. We won't. We'll maybe save this conversation for next time. We talked about it before when I had you on. Is Coach Cal said, hey, I only really need 9 guys, That's how much I need. I don't have to pay more players. I only really need 9. And then you have injuries. And then you go, oh, Boogie Flan's out for the season. Great, And you're cut down on that rotation. And now I think he's going, whew, I don't think that was the greatest idea. Next year I'm going to do it differently, but now we're having to work around that,
Hey, look, nobody can plan completely for injuries. And even if you did, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's got a second Boogie Flan sitting on their bench.
No one does. I'm not saying that. Whoa.
Look at what they're missing, though. And people, Razorback fans, I know they're hungry.
Yeah.
Because, John Calipari came in and, you brought the savior to Fayetteville.
Yes.
And he's a Hall of Fame coach. Mm-hmm. He's won national championships. He knows how to get it done, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't even think he thought year one, we're going to be national champions. It's a process.
No.
You tell people all the time. Coaches tell players, I'm sure John Calipari has said this to his players, embrace the process.
Yes.
I think the fans have to embrace the process. Boogie Flan going down lost them the most dynamic freshman playmaker in the country. 15 points per game, and by far the best distributor of the Arkansas Razorbacks. When he went down, Boogie Flan had 103 assists on the year.
Yeah, one of the best in the country.
103 assists and only 28 turnovers.
Yeah, he had the best assist to turnover ratio in the SEC, and I want to say one of the best in the country as well. I mean, it's tough. It's tough.
So there's no Boogie Flan sitting on anybody's bench.
Yeah,
okay?
no, there isn't.
But how about this? You talk about depth, okay? Cal said, I only need 9 players, right? Mm-hmm. Last night he only played 8.
He only has 8.
Oh, wait.
He played all 8.
Courtney, how many guys did Auburn play?
8.
8.
Yeah.
The magic number, 8.
Yeah.
Here's the difference. Yeah. The 3 guys on Auburn's bench showed up. Yeah. So all 8 guys from Auburn contributed. Right?
True.
All their guys scored. On the 3 guys for the Arkansas bench last night, they got 8 points from Billy Richmond III.
And we love him.
They got
we love
0
him.
from Jonas Adu and 0 from Trevin Brazil.
So play Billy Richmond more is what I'm hearing from you, Dad. I love it. I love that idea. I'm just kidding. Dad, I'm running out of time. I got to go do a 10 o'clock show. Thank you so much for coming on the show once again. Maybe we'll have you on if the Hogs are lucky enough to get into the NCAA tournament. I think their chances are sitting right now, ESPN Analytics, at 30% is what they have them making that NCAA tournament. If they do, Dad, we will have you on one more time. How about that?
Can I make a bold prediction going off the show tonight?
Do it, but very quickly.
Full court press. Bold prediction. The Hogs have 5 games left.
Yes.
3 at home, 2 away.
Yeah.
They're home against Missouri, number 15 in the country.
Really good. Just beat Alabama.
They're home against Texas.
Correct.
They're home against Mississippi State.
Correct.
They're away to South Carolina.
Yeah.
The worst in the SEC.
Yeah, haven't won an SEC game.
Away
Yep.
to Vanderbilt.
Okay.
Only one of their 5 remaining games are against the nationally ranked opponent.
Yeah.
And it's at home. Right?
Right.
Home against Missouri.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
All 5 games are winnable.
They are.
Like all 5 take place. I'm predicting 5-0 down the stretch. The Hogs go to the SEC tournament 20-11. The Hogs will be in March Madness.
Did you just 5-0? 5-0?
5-0 down the stretch.
Oh my gosh.
20-11. 20-11. Let's end it on this. Woo, Pig Suey. Razorbacks.
I love it, Dad. Thank you so much. You're making me laugh. I love it. You are way more optimistic than me, but the Hog fans love that prediction. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. We'll see you next week for another Full Court Press, everybody.